class now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to this morning's Role Play Clinic with your host, Craig Proctor.
Yeah, Andrea, I don't think I feel like doing any role-playing today, so maybe we could just talk about something else. I'm kidding. Of course I feel like role-playing. I love to role-play, and I love to handle objections. So this is what I think everyone should do. We're going to play Let's Stump Craig. How about that game, Andrea? Let's Stump Craig. So I want you guys to give me your objections, because I know you have them because we hear about them, and I will tell you how I would handle those objections, okay? So everyone write them down now. Write down what are the objections, what's stumping you, you know, when the buyer says this, the seller says this. And when you're on the phone, of course, using the role play script, every once in a while you're going to get some objections. The point I want to prove here today is there's not many of them. So as you're all coming up with your objections, what we're going to find is they're pretty much the same objections. The same 5, 6, 7 objections over and over and over again. So my point always has been, well, if it's true that there's only 6 or 7 objections, would you feel more confident if you knew how to handle them? And the answer obviously is yes. So we should probably do that. How do we handle an objection? We handle an objection with logic. Okay, you have to have a logical response to an objection. I call it bonking the prospect over the head with the logic hammer. So I'm pretty good at that, coming up with a logical response. Now, what you'll find if a prospect is not sincere about meeting with you or working with you or even talking to you, once you handle their objection with a logical response, they immediately will invent another objection. And that's when you know you probably don't have someone that's very sincere about speaking to you or meeting with you. Okay, so that's what we're trying to determine here in 3 minutes or less with the universal callback script. We can't create motivation where motivation doesn't exist. Okay, you've heard me say that before. They're either motivated or they're not motivated. They're either a good prospect or a bad prospect. If they're a jerk, no matter what we do or say, they're still going to be a jerk. So we just want to be able to determine in 3 minutes or less the sincerity of the prospect, the motivation of the prospect, the timing of the prospect, and we actually want to repel prospects that are not a great fit. Okay, this is the luxury of having lots of leads. So if you're not in a position where you can do what I'm talking about today, use the script in 3 minutes or less, use it properly to compel the best prospects to meet with you and repel everybody else, maybe it's because you don't have enough leads. Because if you had slightly too many leads and you knew you couldn't work with them all, I think you probably would have this attitude, right? Well, since I can't work with them all, well, who should I work with? Well, I think you'd probably want to work with the most motivated, the most ready to act, the most sincere buyers and sellers in your database. So that's the game we play every day. Generate slightly too many leads and sift and sort the prospects using the script, compelling the best prospects, the most motivated, the most sincere to want to meet with us, and repelling those that we really have no interest in. You will not lose any more prospects doing it this way, doing it my way. You'll simply lose them faster. Okay, you'll lose the jerks, the unqualified, the insincere. You'll just lose them a little faster. And I think you would agree that's a good thing. So let's go to our wonderful operator, Andrea, now that we have everyone's creative juices flowing here. And Andrea, we will take our questions and comments as we always do, either by audio, where you can raise your hand, or by chat. So do we have any audio questions so far?
We do. We have a few hands raised. Evelyn Lynn, or Evangeline Lynn, your line is now open.
Hi, good morning, Craig.
Hello, Miss Lynn. How are you on this wonderful Thursday morning?
Good, how are you?
Good. What's on your mind today?
Well, I was hoping to do a follow-up call role play because I'm going to be following up with about 100 people.
100 people. Now, why did you let it reach 100 before you called them back?
Well, mostly it's just leads that I have accumulated in bold leads or commissions Inc. and we just transferred everything to Follow Up Balls. And then these are the leads that had fallen through the cracks, and now I'm following up with them just to see how things are. So they were not motivated when I first reached out to them when they asked for the valuation of their home, and they wanted me to call them back. So that was more of the purpose of the call this time toward the end of the year, and see if they're doing anything.
Okay, so let me get this straight. This is not the first call to the prospect.
No.
This is a subsequent call. You're calling them back for the second or third time.
That's correct.
Okay, so we'll do this role play. Now, as I'm doing this role play, hopefully everyone else is thinking about the biggest objections you're getting, objections you perhaps need some help with. And if you want to type those in the chat, I'll do this role play with is it Evangeline? How do we pronounce your first name?
Yes, Evangeline, but you can call me Eva.
Okay, Eva. All right, Eva, so you're calling me ring ring. Hello.
Hi, Craig. This is Eva calling you back. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Craig, we spoke about a couple months ago, and you said you were thinking about moving, but you weren't ready yet, and that's why I wanted to call you back and just to touch base with you to see if this is the right time for us to go over your moving plans.
Well, we're getting closer.
Okay. So are you folks still thinking about making a move toward the end of the year or beginning of next year?
Yeah, probably in the new year.
Okay, in the new year. And do you have a realtor to help you with that when the time is right?
Well, we've been talking to you. There's another realtor that we met as well at an open house. So we said to the other realtor, we'd be interested in hearing what they had to say as well.
Gotcha. And are you still thinking about selling your home before buying something, or do you want to buy first?
We still want to buy first. We want to look around and find something. We don't believe we'll have any trouble selling our house.
Gotcha. So, Craig, would you like me to email you daily updates of homes that match your home buying criteria from all real estate companies? My list includes any bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, pocket listings, and properties that have yet to come on the market. It's a free service, and of course, you're never obligated to buy a home. Would that interest you?
Yeah, well, I'm getting some of those listings right now from this other agent.
I understand, Craig.
Are you getting that?
I understand. Craig, I don't know what what the other agent is sending you, but my list has a list of bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, pocket listings. Would you like to receive those as well?
Yeah, okay, sure.
Okay, Craig, when can we get together for about 20 minutes so I can take down exactly what you're looking for?
Well, I know exactly what we're looking for. I can tell you, and I proceed to tell you, and I start to tell you all about what I'm looking for. Now what do you do?
Well, Craig, I want to do a good job for you. Instead of sending you hundreds of homes which may or may not match your home buying criteria or risk missing out on the perfect one, if we can get together for about 20 minutes, I have a form that I fill out, and I can take down exactly what you're looking for. Would days or evenings be better for you?
Well, why don't you just send me over the form, and I'll fill it out and send it back to you.
That's actually not going to work as well as if we could meet in person. And also, while I'm there, I can give you tips on what to do and what not to do to sell your home for the most amount of money. And we can go over all the various closing costs you'll incur so you'll know exactly what you're left in your pocket after all expenses. And again, Craig, it's free of charge, and it doesn't obligate you to do anything. Does that sound helpful?
Okay, that was very good. Now, I threw a little bit of a curveball when you said, well, I have a little form I fill out. What you could say if you get that objection, and you may or may not get that, you could say the form is online. And it is, right? The form that we're referring to are the fields on your MLS, right? So if I was to meet with you, you could sit there with your iPad or your laptop, and you could enter my criteria right into the MLS fields So I explained to them that it's an online form, okay, and what you want to do is go to your MLS, okay, and count all the different buyer search fields. So there might be 50, 100, because what would be great to say is, there's 119 different fields. And sometimes I would even give them an example. I would say, Eve, for example, are you interested in homes that have aluminum wiring? And the seller will call it, well, no, they're a fire hazard. Exactly. So that's one of the fields. Okay. Would you be interested in a home that's had alternative insulation, like formaldehyde insulation? Well, the buyer says, well, no, I wouldn't be interested. So those are examples. So now the buyer starts to think, there really is a lot more to this than just the number of bedrooms and price range and location. So you can show off some of your expertise by giving a couple of examples like that. And what I really like is when we just stress, we can do a much better job for you by sitting down and having a conversation. Nobody can deny that, right? And when they say, well, I know exactly what I'm looking for, I can tell you I know exactly what I'm looking for, I just flip that around and I say, I'm sure you do. But I want to have that same great understanding that you have, because I don't want to miss out on the perfect home. Okay, so you did very good. Now, before I let you go, is there a big burning objection that you're getting that you need some help with?
I think that was the biggest one. I have a form that I fill out. Why don't you just send it to me? And I always get stuck. And I did. I kind of just wing it and ignore that objection. But this is a really good feedback for me, Craig.
All right. Well, you did a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We'll go now to the chat, and we'll see if we have any objections typed into the chat. Now, Andrea, as you know, when I'm talking to Eve, I can't be reading the chats, so hopefully you've had a chance to do that, and you have a couple of objections for me to handle.
We do. We have a lot of objections typed in, and I'll just go ahead and pick a couple here. It says from Colleen, there's just checking out investment properties, not ready to start buying for more than 6 months.
Okay, well, the first thing I would be thinking is, do I want to work with an investor at all? If I do, I would say, well, there's no downside in getting the information every single day until you're ready to buy. 6 months from now, you would be a super educated buyer. So what would be the downside to getting daily updates of all the investment properties between now and when you're ready to buy? So why don't we get together? I can take down exactly what you're looking for, and we'll make sure that you're receiving every single day in your inbox all the investment properties that match your criteria. Also, if the perfect property came on the market, maybe you'd be in a position to, act earlier on this. Now, the idea is once I get together with the buyer, I'm going to sign them to a 1-year buyer agency agreement. So I don't really care if it's 6 months until they buy. I'm still going to get compensated. You see, with a buyer, it doesn't matter if we're too early, within reason. Any time in the next year is okay, because I am signing them to a 1-year buyer agency agreement. With a seller, however, it is dangerous to meet with the seller too early. If the seller is not within a couple weeks of listing their home, I'd prefer to follow up with them. I do not want to meet with a seller today that's not going to list their home for 6 months because, first of all, they're not going to be interested in even listening to my presentation today if they're not going to list their home for 6 months. And whatever price I give them today will be incorrect. And 6 months from now, when they are ready to list their home for sale, they're probably going to speak to a couple of other realtors. I'm at a huge disadvantage because they're not going to remember me or much of what I had to say. Give me another one, please.
Well, I'm finding a common one is, we don't need to meet. Just send me your form and then I'll give you a call back.
Well, of course, that is a common one because nobody wants to meet with a salesperson. However, if we all don't become very good at handling that, then none of this is going to work, and you're going to have to keep running around showing buyers houses without a buyer agency agreement in place. Okay, that means you're showing houses, you're doing work with no guarantee that you're going to be compensated. Now, none of you would do this with the listing side of your business, right? We've had this conversation before. The seller called you and said, hey, I want you to run around and advertise my home and show it to buyers and open house it, but I don't want to sign a listing agreement. I don't think anybody with us here today would agree to those terms. However, that's how many of you go about the buyer side of your business. So the common objection is, why do we need to meet? Okay, you need to understand how to handle that. The obvious answer to that is because I want to do a good job for you. Okay, I mean, right there, right, we're making a good point. There's not a buyer in the world that could deny that that is true, that we would do a better job by meeting with them. Well, just send me the form. Well, we handled that. Well, the form's actually online. We're going to have a detailed description of exactly what you're looking for. You know, including what type of heating you want. I gave you a couple of examples of that you could use as to things they're not. I guarantee they're not thinking about the wiring or the insulation in the house. Okay, these things are disclosed. So if we could sit down and have a conversation about this, then I would know exactly what you're looking for, and that way I'll send you only the homes that are a perfect match, and we won't miss out on homes that would be perfect. That's the biggest fear, by the way, that all buyers have. Their biggest fear is they're going to miss out on the perfect property. How do we know that's their biggest fear? Well, that's why they're receiving emails from all these different agents. That's why they're on 14 different websites. That's their biggest fear. So when you get together, okay, you're going to have a detailed description about exactly what they're looking for. You're going to fill out this online form, okay, which has whatever it is, 87, 117 fields. You count them up, okay, and we're going to now be sending you only the homes that match your criteria. Plus, what other types of homes could we send them? Homes that aren't even on the market yet. Okay, most of you belong to offices where there's other realtors. Every day those other realtors come into the office with listings that are new, that are not MLS. So I think it's fair to say that all of you have access to pre-MLS listings. These are homes that are not yet on MLS. You could give them access rather to expired listings as well, to for sale by owners. If you make the offer sound good enough and you have a logical reason why it's beneficial for the prospect to meet with you, they will meet with you. If your offer is weak and if you don't have an answer to, well, why do we need to get together, then they're not going to meet with you. It's that simple. So we need to be really good with the offer we make. We're going to make that offer sound delicious. And when they ask, well, why do we need to meet? Or why can't you just tell me, why can't I tell you over the phone what I'm looking for? Or why can't I email you my criteria? The answer is because I want to do a good job. I want to have a detailed discussion with you about exactly what you're looking for, just so we're not emailing you hundreds of homes which may or may not match your criteria, or even worse, missing out on the perfect home. Okay, there's 117 different criteria. For example, would you be interested in a home that has aluminum wiring? Oh, no, Craig. What about a home that has formaldehyde insulation? Oh, no, Craig. How about a home on a corner? Oh, no. So it's pretty easy for us to give them some examples of things that they would not have told us about. They wouldn't even have thought of these things, you know, had we just taken their criteria over the phone. Let's take another objection.
Okay, another objection is about commission. How do you handle when the prospect asks you how much you charge?
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen your home yet. Now, Andrea, ask me how long it's going to take to sell the house.
So how long is it going to take to sell my house?
Well, I don't know, Andrea. I haven't seen your home yet. Ask me, well, how much money do you think you could get for the house?
How much money am I going to get from the sale of my house?
I don't know, Andrew. I haven't seen your home yet. You see, some of these objections are just better handled in person than on the phone. Because if they ask you what commission you charge, no matter what you tell them, no matter how low you go, they're just going to find somebody else over the telephone that will quote them a lower amount. And let's understand that the price or fee that you charge is only an issue in the absence of value. So once you get in front of the prospect, if it's a seller, and you have an opportunity to demonstrate through your presentation all the value that you bring to the transaction, if you do a good job of that, the fee isn't such a big deal. But if they think that we're all the same, and they do, right? That's what they think. Without your presentation that differentiates you from everyone else, the prospects perceive you're the same as everyone else. So if you're the same as everyone else, I should just list my home with the realtor that quotes me the lowest fee. Let's take a couple more.
Okay, Victor asks, what if you hear, I'm separating from my spouse and I don't want her to know a realtor was overlooking at my home?
I would say, okay. That's not really an objection, it's a request. How many of you would be okay meeting with either husband or wife in that situation? It's better if they would both be there, but if they don't like each other, that's probably not going to happen. I would probably meet with one or the other, or have them come to the office. Next.
Okay. Scott's typed in, how do I handle a seller from ZBuyer who wants to for sale by owner their home and are confident that they have sufficient interest in the home and they're confident they can get their price without me?
Well, I would say, why don't we have a look at your property to see if we can net you more for your home than you can get by yourself. There's no downside. It's absolutely free of charge and no obligation to meet with me. But what if I could get you, net in your pocket, more money than you could get on your own? I assume the only reason you're doing all the work yourself to sell your own home is because you believe financially you can net more in your pocket than letting a realtor do all the work. But what if it's not true? What if I could net you more money in your pocket because of all the marketing? You know, price is a function of supply and demand, and arguably, I can create more demand for your home and get you a higher price, and I'd like an opportunity to show you how I can do that. And if I can get you even the same price or more in your pocket, why would you want to do all the work? Why would you want to spend the money on marketing and advertising when I can do that for you? Why would you want to sit in open houses? Why would you want to field the calls? Why would you want to have to deal with all the security issues when you can have someone take care of that for you? So again, the only reason I would think, would want to sell it yourself is because you believe financially you're going to net more money in your pocket. So why don't we set up a time to get together, and if that is true, we can shake hands, part ways, no hard feelings, but at least you've done your due diligence, and you've met with me, and we can discuss your options. And even if you are better off to sell your own home, I understand you're going to be buying a home, and it doesn't cost you anything to have me help you as your realtor on the buy end. Let me look for the homes for you. Let me do all the negotiating, and my fee is free to you because I'm compensated, indirectly by the seller. Next.
Okay, I've noticed a couple of our members, or maybe even more than a couple, are getting prospects that are just afraid of commitment. They either don't want to work with an agent or they just flat out don't want to sign. So how would you handle that?
Okay, well, let's first of all talk about over the phone, because we should not be talking about signing anything over the phone. Sometimes the prospect will say, well, Craig, if I meet with you, do I have to sign anything? And the answer is no. Nope, you don't have to sign anything. And it's true. When they meet with me, do they have to sign anything? No. Nor do I have to continue spending any time with them. So when they ask you that question over the phone, well, look, like what's it going to cost, or what am I getting into by meeting with you? What am I committing to? Do I have to sign anything? The answer is no. Nope, you're not committing to anything other than meeting with me. You don't have to sign anything. I like what James McDonald says. He says, don't even bring your checkbook. When you're face-to-face with them, if the buyer won't sign the buyer agency agreement or the seller won't sign the listing agreement, that's a function of your listing presentation or your buyer presentation. The better your presentation is, the less objections you get when it comes to the commitment, the listing period, okay, the time that you want to sign them up for, or your fee. Okay, the better you get at the presentation, the more that disappears. Because the natural conclusion to an awesome presentation is at the end of it, the prospect says, where do I sign? If you're routinely faced with objections from buyers or sellers, it just tells me you've got to do some more work on your presentation. But maybe you folks can be specific. What kind of objections are you getting in regards to commitment? Like they don't want to list with you at all, or they don't want to sign a buyer contract at all? Is it the length of time? If it's a seller, is it the commission rate? What exactly are they objecting to? Next.
Okay, this is from Ira, and he says, what do you say when a Bold Leads prospect says that it's a bait and switch scheme and doesn't want to talk to a realtor? I thought that this was an automated service. I don't want to talk to a realtor. How would you handle that?
You actually visited my website. You requested an evaluation of what your property is worth. This service is offered by me, and I wondered if you were thinking of making a move, and if you were planning on making a move, I wondered if you might want something more accurate than just a ballpark figure of what's recently sold and what's currently listed in the neighborhood. In other words, if they're not moving, then we really don't care about meeting with them, right? Now, here's the great thing about it. The sellers that are just curious, they're tire kickers, they're not moving, of course they don't want to have a real estate agent over to their home because they're not interested in actually selling. That's good for us too, because we have no interest in going and meeting with them, and they have no interest in selling. However, it's also true that the sellers that actually are really motivated are the sellers that would like to get the super accurate evaluation of their home and not the loosey-goose ballpark figure. So those prospects that fight you and say, well, you know, I'm not really thinking of moving, I don't want to have a realtor over to my house, that's cool, because I don't want to go to their house either because they're not selling. The people that are open to meeting with you are the people that are thinking of selling. So we're not trying to meet with everybody. We don't care about, see, here's the thing we have to understand. We're not trying to create motivation where motivation doesn't exist. If the seller says, well, I'm not moving, you know, I don't want you to come over to the house, I'm not interested in an accurate assessment, then that's fine. We can't handle that objection because it's just the truth. They're just not selling. Next.
Okay, Craig, I thought, do you want to shake it up a little and go to an audio question, or do you want to keep on going through chats?
Yeah, let's do audio.
Okay. Austin Goodell, your telephone line is now open.
Good morning. Good morning, Craig and Andrea. This is Lynn and Austin Goodale.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
How you doing?
Okay, so I thought I was raising my hand for a role play.
We can do a role play.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Okay,
What type of prospect would you like me to be?
a buyer,
Okay.
and you responded to a list of properties in the Gilbert area.
All right, ring ring. Hello?
Hello, is Craig there?
Speaking.
Hi, Craig. This is Lynn Goodale with JK Realty, and the reason I'm calling is I received your request for information about the properties in Gilbert, and I'm getting ready to put that in the mail to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, I didn't know this was coming from a real estate agent.
Yeah. Are you planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. And do you currently rent or do you own your home, Craig?
We own.
You own. Okay. And if you were to move, would you be staying in the area or moving out of the area?
We want to stay here in the area.
Okay. All right. And when do you think that might be?
In the spring.
In the spring. Okay. And Craig, do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right?
The person that sold us this house stays in touch.
Okay. And are you 100% committed to them?
I don't know if we're 100% committed, but I would definitely meet with him.
Okay. All right. And would you be open to meeting with me when the time is right?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, Craig, would you prefer to buy before listing your home, or do you want to sell first?
Okay, let's stop there. What I would have said right there, Lynn, is I would have said, you know, there's a tremendous difference between real estate agents and what they do and how much they charge to get the job done. Do you think you might be open to meeting with me as well?
Okay.
Because
All
you're
right.
not creating any doubt. You're just basically saying, okay, so you've got this agent in mind. Would you meet with me too? But you haven't given me a reason why.
Okay. Well, Craig, there's a tremendous difference in what real estate agents do and what they charge to get the job done. Do you think you would be open to meeting with me?
Me as well. Make sure you say me as well, because that way there's no downside to the seller.
Okay.
Right? Meet with me. It almost sounds like, well, now I've got to pick between you and this other guy. So, you know, make it sound like, well, do you think you might be open to meeting with me as well? Because I'm thinking, well, there's no downside. Okay, sure, yeah.
Okay. All right. And okay. Sorry, I just lost my train
Now,
of
by the way, sometimes when you say that, they'll say this, because you just said there's a big difference between real estate agents and what they do and how much they charge to get the job done, which sometimes opens that can of worms, and they'll say, well, Lynn, what do you charge to get the job done? And how did I say to answer that?
Well, you know, Craig, I don't really know because I haven't seen your home yet.
Perfect.
Okay. And so, okay, well, okay, let me just go back, Craig. I'm sorry because I lost my train of thought.
That's my job. My job is to mess you up. Because that's what the prospects do, right? We have this script, and you know what you want to say. The problem is we can't make the buyers and sellers say what they're supposed to say. So if you ever had that before with a prospect, like they throw you off, right? So you kind of lose your place. But you got to get back on the horse. Now, your job is to get me back on the script.
Okay. So let me just go. Okay. So, Craig, would you like a free market evaluation to determine what your home would sell for? Also, I can go over tips on what to do and what not to do.
Okay. Now, let's stop here for a second. You asked me whether I owned or rented, and I said I owned.
Right.
Now, you asked me on timing, and I said I'm probably going to do something next spring.
In 6 months.
What question have you failed to ask me?
I failed to ask you.
I'm a buyer and I'm a seller, but.
Oh, I asked you, would you prefer to buy before listing your home, or do you want to sell first?
Did you ask me that?
I thought I did, but I'm going to ask you again.
I don't know. Maybe Andrea did. Maybe I missed that. Do you know whether Lynn asked me that question?
I cannot recall.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe you did. I thought you didn't, and I thought you went right into the listing. But let me tell you what's wrong
Everybody's
with what
saying
you did.
yes, she did. We're getting a lot of
Oh, she did.
chats. Yes, she
Yeah,
did.
I
Okay.
couldn't remember
Okay,
the was.
I'm bad. Okay, I'm bad. Okay, so okay, go easy on me, guys. Everyone's typing in, Craig, you dummy. Yes, she did. Okay, so I messed up. But
Well, and on
so,
quite, I couldn't remember what your answer was. Kind of threw me. So, Craig, would you prefer to buy before listing your home, or do you want to sell first?
okay, I want to sell first.
Okay. Well, would you like a free market evaluation to determine what your home would sell for? Okay, Craig, I'm sorry. You told me you're 6 months. So
Right,
really,
that's where I want to go with this. Is even okay. Now I'm getting mixed here because look at this, Andrea. Half the people said yes, she did.
I noticed
The other
that.
half said no, she didn't. So anyway, we're not sure whether you asked that question or not. But anyway, you should, and you know you should. So you just did it now. You asked me the question. Now, when I said I wanted to sell first, the mistake you've picked up on your mistake. So share with everybody the mistake that you were just about to make there.
Okay, well, you told me that in the spring, and so that's about 6 months. So actually, I'm a little too early to meet with you because you're quite not ready. So I would like to just offer you to be able to meet with you at a later time. And when do you think that would be a good time for me to call you back? Because
Correct.
And then,
right.
but
like
actually,
the worst thing that can happen, and I know a lot of you don't agree with this and you don't believe this, but the worst thing that could have happened here is if I say yes to Lynn and I book a home evaluation appointment, a CMA, whatever you want to call it, and we book that for tomorrow, and I've got this real reason why I absolutely am not going to sell my home until the spring. So here's the problem, right? You come over to my house in Gilbert, and it's a nice house, and you give me a price, and you're attempting to give me your listing presentation. And I really like you, you're nice, but honestly, how interested really am I in your presentation when in my mind, I'm not going to put my home up for sale for 6 months?
You're not.
I'm not. So that's a problem, right? Because even if you do the world's best listing presentation, the seller's head's not really into it. And no matter what price you give me today, 6 months from now, will that price be accurate? Probably not. Yeah. And in 6 months from now, I already told you I have this other guy, this other agent that sold me the place, who I'm also going to meet with. The problem is now you've positioned yourself a great disadvantage because the other realtor's meeting with me at the right time.
Yeah.
How much am I going to retain of what you had to say 6 months ago? And I might be thinking, oh, plus Lynn's price was way too high or way too low, because I still remember the price in the market's changed. So that's the moral of the story here is with the seller, we don't want to be too early. It works against us. Not true with the buyer. Now, had I said I want to buy first, absolutely you want to get together with me. Sign me up to a 1-year exclusive buyer agency agreement because you don't care if I don't buy for 6 months. You're still going to be compensated.
Okay.
You know, unless we can figure out how to get the seller to sign a listing agreement today, but you're not going to actually show the property or put the home on the market for 6 months.
That would be great.
Which we really can't. Well, I shouldn't say we can't do it. We haven't been doing that.
Yeah.
But in effect, we can do that with buyers, right? With a buyer who wants to buy any time in the next year, you could say, well, hey, Craig, there's no downside to you getting the information right away.
You know, Craig, I've had in the past week scheduled 2 appointments that then canceled. And when I ask them, are they planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months, they say yes. And I guess I get so excited about them saying yes that I don't clarify, is it 3 or is it 6? And so I get down and I make them the offer, and they say yes, they want the offer. And
Correct.
Okay,
now,
great.
Let's follow this through. Now
Okay.
you're out on the appointment, and what are you thinking?
Well, I didn't even get to the appointment because we, like in one instance, we called to confirm, and they said, well, we're really a little bit further out than we thought, and so, we'd like to reschedule for a later time. And I feel like, well, maybe I wasn't clarified enough with my timing when I said 3 to 6 months. Maybe they were further than 6 months, and as the case that was, then 3 months. And so I was too premature, and then I felt like, oh, I missed, and I don't know how to handle that.
Okay, well, Austin it knows, and I know, and we've had this conversation before, that you've got a really fantastic personality. And I think that you could, with your personality and being as good as you are with the script, here's what I think can happen. I think you could make a lot of appointments, even in cases when you shouldn't.
I think that's what's happening, and it's frustrating.
Right. So here's the moral of the story. Don't book an appointment just because you can. Only book an appointment when you should.
Yes. So how do I clarify that, Craig? When I'm on the phone and I ask them, are you folks planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months? And they say yes. And I say, do I clarify at that point, or is it closer to 3 or closer to 6? Or do I just move to question number 2?
Okay, so I would say this. I would say, well, Lynn, would you prefer to buy first or sell first?
Okay, and I'd say sell.
And is there a specific reason as to why you wouldn't consider putting your home on the market before 6 months?
I couldn't even give you an objection. I don't know why.
Well, what if there isn't? What if they say, well, no. What if they said this? Okay, sometimes they'll say this.
I don't really know, Craig. I don't know where I stand, and so I'm just
What
looking.
we're trying to find out is there like a hard reason why they wouldn't do it earlier? Okay, so what if the seller said, well, look, I'm being transferred and my company won't even confirm the transfer until the spring, or I'm going through a marriage separation and it won't be till the spring because of all the legal stuff going on, or I bought new construction and the possession date on the new home won't be until the spring. That would be a concrete reason as to why they can't move now. What that would tell me is no matter what I do or say, I'm not going to overcome that.
Right.
But what if they said this? Have you ever heard them say this before? Well, Lynn, actually the reason we want to wait till the spring is we heard that around Thanksgiving and Christmas is not a good time to sell because there's no buyers out there. Now, I might try to overcome that by saying, well, Lynn, it is true that there are less buyers looking around Thanksgiving and Christmas, but also what's true is there's a lot less homes for sale.
Yes. Yes.
So, and a lot of people put their home on the market in the spring, and you could beat the rush actually by getting your home on the market here in November, and we could even take it off your home off the market, no showings around Thanksgiving and Christmas if you prefer. But there's actually a shortage of inventory right now, and I wondered if you might consider listing your home now rather than waiting until the spring and avoiding that mad rush of competing homes.
Kind of create some urgency.
Sure. Like Austin said, just kind of create some urgency at that point. Because
well, you see, what happens if you didn't do that, and I was the other realtor that we're talking to, and I convinced them that their reasons for waiting until the spring were not real, and I get in there and I list the house, you're going to see this listing on the hot sheets.
Yes, and I'm going to be upset.
And you're going to be upset because you didn't dig a little deeper.
Yes, yes. Okay, so can I just clarify and go back to the 3 to 6 months when I say, are you planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months? And they say yes. And then I would come back with that. And the question you came back to me with was with number 5. Would you prefer to buy before listing your home, or did you want to sell first? Is that correct?
Well, look, if we go back to this script, are you on the buyer side or the seller side?
Well, I'm on the seller side right now.
Okay. So watch this. The first question is, are you folks planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months? Then we throw up I don't know if you're into baseball. We're going to throw up a little change up here, okay? A little curveball. If you were to move, where would that be? Would you be staying in the area or moving out of the area? Then we come right back with question 1. And when do you think that might be?
Okay.
Now,
And so,
doesn't that appear to be the same question to you?
yes.
But
And
what's weird is they quite often will give you a different answer.
right. And then they start talking, and then you can establish at that point, are they closer to the 3 months or the 6 months?
Well, yeah, like, see, that's not good enough. If you ask me if I'm thinking of making a move in the next 3 to 6 months, and I say yes, now you're thinking, well, is it 1 week, 3 months, 6 months? Like, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
If they want to buy first, it's easy because you can say this. I would say, well, Lynn, so you say you want to buy first before you're getting your home on the market. If the perfect home came on the market today, do you think you'd be in a position to act on that?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay, then that tells me that you're really not 3 months or 6 months out.
Okay.
Because if the perfect home came on the market, right, so I want to get in front of you and get you signed to a buyer agency agreement. But what if you said, well, no, Craig, even if the perfect home came on the market, I'm going through a divorce right now, and that's got to be all settled and cleared up, and it'll be at least until the spring, then I'm not as excited about meeting with you today.
Then I would go to question 6. Would it be okay if I followed up with you at a later time? And when I get someone, I guess I get a little panicky, Craig, when I know somebody wants to sell their home and they're just 6 months out. And when I go to saying, well, would it be okay if I followed up with you at a later time? And they say yes. And I just feel like in that 6 months is such a long time. And I guess that's where the goal plan letters come in, where I can follow up with them and stay in touch with them.
Okay, what you're worried about is if you don't run out and meet with them now, that will with someone else, right? But even if you do go out and meet with them now, that could still happen.
Yes, that's right. You're right, either way. So I just gotta I just gotta go with what you're teaching me, and just like it's too early, just be comfortable with
Yeah, what you're really doing is you're running out to meet with somebody that has a real reason why they can't sell their house now. And I'm saying we shouldn't do that.
Don't do that. Okay.
It'll do it. In my experience, it does more harm than good. You're better to continue to follow up with that seller until they're within striking distance, within a couple of weeks of listing.
Okay.
But when you ask them, could I follow up with you, and they say yes, you're going to say, well, when do you think would be a good time? Now, you're going to continue to follow up with them.
Correct.
And get in the door at the right time.
Okay. Okay, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay?
Yes.
Good stuff.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you, Lynn and Austin. Andrea, are we going to go to audio or a chat question next?
Well, we have so many chats. I've been trying to go through them, and I notice a lot of times commission comes up. So could you just clarify, I know we discussed this earlier, just what do they do either in the meeting or over the phone when commission comes up?
So our members are saying that the clients want to pay them too much?
I hope so.
Okay, look, over the phone, we've talked about how to handle that. I don't know. I haven't seen your house yet. Which is, kind of makes sense, right? If it's like if you were a contractor, you would quote on the job, right? If it's a more difficult job, they're going to pay more. If it's an easy job, they might pay less. So that's how I would answer that. What commission do you charge? I don't know. I haven't seen your property yet. I don't know how much advertising and marketing you want me to do. I don't know what your time frame is. Let's get together, have a look at your home, and I can listen to what your expectations are and quote on it. What's next?
Okay, a very interesting question came up from Paula, and she says, is there dialogue to use to find out on the phone if a buyer or seller is going to waste your time, but they're being very agreeable to all the questions?
Well, look, the idea in asking the questions is because we want to listen to how they answer the questions. We're not just asking the questions for the sake of asking the questions. I've heard a few of you make these calls and recordings that have been sent into the office, and you're rushing through the questions and you're not listening to the answers. So you're going to learn a lot about exactly what to do next by listening to how they answer the questions that you're asking them.
Okay. Adele Langdon says, with bold leads, I get almost all curious. Many times I call and I barely get out of my intro and they say, oh, no, I'm not moving. How far do I go with the script at this point? Do I offer the newsletter?
Well, look, if you find, Adele, that the bold leads are not of high quality, and you've tracked those addresses on MLS, which you can do, then don't do bold leads. Okay? If I owned a fishing lodge, and you folks came up to my fishing lodge up north, and we went out fishing, and we weren't catching any fish, I would probably say as your guide, well, look, we need to move to a different part of the lake, or we need to use different bait. But clearly, if we stay in this spot using this bait, we're going to continue, catching small fish or no fish. So there's no sense in us continuing to do whatever it is we're doing if we're getting the exact same results. So I think, Adele, what you're saying is these bold leads, they really aren't great quality. Now, not everybody feels that way. So here's what I would do, and I did this every day. I had my assistant pull off all the hot sheets every day, all the new listings, and she would cross-reference that with my MLS, or with my contact management system, and we would find sellers in there that we were talking to, leads that we generated that we didn't do business with, but they listed with someone else. Well, it'd be fairly easy for you to do that with your bold leads. I don't know how many months you've been using bold leads, but you could go back over the last couple of months, enter all their addresses. Now, what if you found that a lot of these bold leads addresses, these leads you generated, have in fact listed their home with someone else? Well, I'd be thinking, well, we can't say the leads are no good because these sellers did in fact, within a week or 2 weeks or a month of speaking to me, they listed their home with someone else. The opposite of that would be you enter all your bold leads and none of these sellers, by address when you search MLS, none of them have listed or sold. I'm just saying that's what I would do. Okay, Michelle London's asking, well, what the heck are bold leads? Bold leads is it's a company that we're affiliated with, and you can buy seller leads. Okay, so there's other lead generation companies out there where you can purchase leads. There's Commissions Inc., there's Bold Leads, there's Z-Buyer. We really want to help as many of you generate as many leads on your own, but some of you get to the point where you become so good with follow-up, you become so efficient, you want to generate even more leads than those you can generate on your own. So you buy leads from these other companies, but you still use our system to qualify the leads, and you still use the universal callback script. And that's the point that Adele's making, is she's using the universal callback script, but she doesn't seem to be getting anywhere. So here's what it comes down to, Adele. It's going to be, if it's either, what you're saying on the phone, or it is truly the quality of the leads. Adele says, yes, I've done bold leads for 3 months. I have 2 appointments this week and several on drip and follow-up. But most, something, if that, enough, this, okay, so most are bad, I guess. You're going to have to make that decision, Adele. You're going to have to make that decision. You know what you're investing in bold leads. You know how much time and money you're investing, and are you getting enough out of this? The idea with these external lead generation companies is they should be making you more money than the time and money that you're investing in it, right? Or it doesn't make sense. So, this is the question now. Is it the leads? Is it the bold leads? Or is it what you're doing or not doing when following up with these leads? There's an easy way to answer this. Okay, you simply take all those addresses over the last 3 months, you cross-reference them with MLS. If they're bad leads, then none of them should have listed or sold their home with other realtors during that time period. However, if they have, then you know, we can't really say they're bad leads. It's bold leads, Julio. He's asking, what is the company's name? Is it Vault Leads? No, it's Bold. B-O-L-D, Bold Leads. All right, Andrea, do you want to take chat or audio next?
Well, let's go to audio. We have Alex Malia. Your line is open.
Hi, Craig.
Good morning, Alex.
How you doing today?
Good. What's on your mind?
Are we still in time to do a quick role play?
Absolutely. Am I a buyer or a seller?
You're going to be a seller because I'm running the home inspection traps ad. Should be coming out in today's paper, actually.
Okay, so this is an editorial ad in the newspaper. Now, Alex, as you know, many of our members think that the newspaper is old-fashioned and the newspaper doesn't work for them, and you've had a complete opposite experience because you're generating a lot of leads and very good leads from running an editorial, a news-looking ad in the local newspaper that apparently no one reads except for people that want to sell their home.
Yep. People like the free reports for sure, and the I like the headlines of the editorials are quite compelling as well.
All right, so you're calling me, ring, ring, and I say hello.
Hello, is Craig there?
Speaking.
Hi, Craig. This is Alex with Keller Williams Realty, and the reason I'm calling is that I got your request for the free report on 11 home inspection pitfalls, and I popped that in the mail to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, I didn't know that that was being offered by a real estate agent.
Yes, it is. It's free information that I provide. Are you folks planning on moving in the next 3 to 6 months?
We are thinking about it.
Okay, and if you were to move, would you stay in the area or would you move out of the area?
We probably want to move to Aurora.
Okay, and when do you think that might be?
I don't know. We've looked around at a few houses. We're out at an open house last weekend, and we sort of like that northwest corner of Aurora.
Okay. Do you have an agent to help you when the time comes, Craig?
We met a couple of agents at some open houses, and they've been emailing us properties.
Okay.
So I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, I don't know how it works, but yes, we've been speaking to a couple of other agents.
Okay, but you're not 100% committed to them, are you?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how that works. We just, you know, we've talked to them. We haven't signed anything, and they're sending us listings.
Okay.
So no, we haven't. I guess we haven't committed to anybody.
So, would you prefer to buy first before listing your home, or do you want to sell first?
I don't know. What do you think is better?
Well, do you think you'd want to have the for sale?
But by the way, that's a curveball. But they say that to us too. Right?
Yeah.
They say that. Right.
I just re-asked the question.
Now what that means, folks, is that means that the prospect really didn't understand the question. They don't really understand what you're getting at, because obviously everybody has to. If they own a home and they're buying another one, you have to do one before the other. Everyone has to you know, either buy first or sell first. So when Alex asked me, well, do you prefer to buy first or sell first? And I said, well, I don't know. I guess I'd have to do it at the same time, or I might say, I don't know. What do you think is better? Just repeat it, but be more specific so I understand it.
Okay, Craig, do you think you'd want to have the for sale sign out in front of your house and your home listed on the market before you purchase another home, or do you want to know kind of where you're buying and purchase that home before you put yours up for sale?
All right, very nice. That was a very good job. Yeah, I guess we'd like to look around first. Like I said, we've been at some open houses, but yeah, I wouldn't want to get my home on the market until we find something we like.
Okay, Craig, would you like for me to email you daily updates of homes that match your specific home buying criteria from all real estate companies? Our list includes bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, other distressed sales. It's a free service, and of course, you're never obligated to buy a home. Would that interest you?
Yeah, but isn't that what I'm getting from the other agents?
I'm not sure what you're getting from the other agents, Craig, but our list includes distressed sales, company-owned, vacant properties, reduced prices, and sometimes even homes that aren't even available to the public yet. Would that be something that you'd be interested in receiving?
Yeah, I'd definitely be interested in getting that as well.
Okay, when can we get together for about 20 minutes so I can take down exactly what you're looking for?
Okay, now this is where the prospect's going to fight you, right? Well, look, I'm really busy at work, Alex. Why don't I just tell you right now what I'm looking for? Like I said, the northwest part of Aurora, between this price range and that price range, and I need a 4-bedroom. So can you send all those over to me?
Yeah, but Craig, I want to do a great job for you. And rather than email you hundreds of listings which may or may not match your specific buying criteria, or even worse, you missing out on the perfect one, if we could just get together for about 20 minutes, I have a sheet that I just write down. There's over 100 different types of criteria for homes. Again, it's a free service, and you're never obligated to buy. What's good for you, days or evenings?
Okay, now I think you did a very good job there.
Okay.
And here's when you know if you did a good job, because I say, okay, all right, well, look, why don't we do this? I've got your contact information. I said I'm busy at work, so I will call you back with a time once I check my work schedule.
Okay, well, this service is perfect for busy people like you. Can we set? How about we set a tentative time up for me to come over and meet with you, and then if it doesn't work, you can always call me back and reschedule.
Okay, now, did Alex do a very good job of coming up with a reasonable solution to my problem or my objection? I think we'd all agree that yes, Alex came up with a very reasonable solution to this problem that I had, which is I'd love to meet with you, but I got to check my work schedule. Now, we're at the fork in the road, because if I say, okay, well, yeah, that sounds reasonable, and we set up a tentative appointment, that's a good sign. Here's what's a bad sign, is if the prospect now invents a totally different objection. Now you probably know, well, Craig was just using that as an excuse. He wasn't really sincere about meeting with me. It wasn't that he didn't know his work schedule, because now we've solved that problem, and now Craig invents an entirely different reason why he can't meet with me. So you might hear the prospect, they'll say something like this. They'll say, well, gee, I don't know if I'm quite ready for that yet.
Right.
Okay, now what are you going to say?
Oh, you're not. I'm sorry. Were you getting into the script? You're not quite ready.
Yeah, I'm back in the script. So you come up with a great solution to this problem. I said I'm really busy at work. You said it's perfect. This is perfect for busy people like you. You could even expand on that, Alex, and say it's perfect for busy people like you, because Craig, at your convenience, just check your inbox. You can drive by the properties that interest you, and all we ask in return is when you see one you like, give us a call, and we can get you all the information and even into the property. But if I come back and I say, well, I don't know if I'm quite ready for that yet, that's a bad sign. Now what?
Okay, you got me. You stumped me there.
Okay, well, how about this? Well, when do you think you would be ready?
Okay, right, yeah.
I'm not ready for that yet. You should say, well, could I follow up with you at a later time? Look at the script there. Could I follow up with you? Would it be okay if I follow up with you at a later time? Okay, now, if I say, no, that's okay, that's a bad sign. You may still want to follow up with me one more time. I call it giving me an insurance call.
Yeah.
But probably you're wasting your time with me.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Because
so
I'm saying, you're asking me, is it okay to follow? Yeah, is it okay to follow up with you at a later time? And I'm saying, no, that's okay. However, if I say, yeah, it's okay if you follow up with me at a later time.
Okay, Craig, when will be a good time for me to call you back?
Perfect. And I tell you, and I say 4 months, and that tells you, cut it in half and call Craig back in 2 months.
Okay.
Okay, now, as you're doing this, by the way, people are typing in, Alex is very good.
Oh,
and you are very good. But it didn't start off that way. You know, Alex, I remember there was a time, not that long ago, when you were kind of afraid to make the calls and you weren't quite sure what to do. And but through practice, you've become very, very good at this.
Yeah, well, it's you play it, you internalize it. I still keep, believe it or not, Craig, I've got a copy of the callback script. Like, I kid you not, everywhere I plant my butt. Like, I could be sitting at home, there's copies of the callback script. At the office, there's copies of the callback script. And not necessarily because I have to look at it all the time, but it's there. So you have no choice. Sometimes you're just sitting there and you just happen to look up, glance up at it, and it's all part of the internalizing process, right?
You know, and I remember James McDonald telling everyone that right at the beginning of the coaching program. We start with all the new members, and James says you should print off that universal callback script. You know, print off 4 or 5 copies. Wherever it is that you make your calls, you should have that pinned up right in front of you, whether it's at your Keller Williams office, your home office, in the car, wherever it is, you should have a copy of that.
Have a nice.
But you've done a wonderful job here, Alex. Thank you for volunteering.
No problem.
All right, let's go back to Andrea. Andrea, what do you want to do now?
Okay, well, I thought we could just do a few more of our chat objections. Nazira says she actually got one this morning, and she said she heard, "You were too far from me. No need for meeting at this time. I need to see homes."
Okay, so who was that? Can we get them live here?
Let's see. I can pull up our line.
Always best with a live demonstration.
Nazira Jamal, your line is open.
Nazira, don't be shy.
Say hello. You're actually logged in 3 times, so I have all Nazira Jamal's lines open. Doesn't sound like they have a working mic.
Okay, no go. All right, so repeat the question again, and I'll try to answer it just this way.
Okay. She says the objection was, "You're too far from me. There's no need for meeting at this time. I need to see homes."
Okay, well, I think we've handled that one. Well, I want to do a good job for you. You're too far from me. Well, why don't we meet halfway? You know, I want to take down exactly what you're looking for. That way, we won't be emailing you dozens of homes that don't match what you're looking for. Neither will we risk missing out on the perfect home. If you make the offer sound really delicious, most of your objections will go away. If they're giving you objections, what it means is they really don't think that meeting with you is beneficial. And what they mostly think is what you're going to send them is exactly the same that they can find themselves on the internet. That's what they believe. So if you don't tell them otherwise, then they assume you're a commodity. You have the exact same information as every other realtor has, and the other realtors are willing just to email it to them without requesting a meeting, or I can just go online to 18 different websites and I can get all the information. So unless you differentiate your list, your service, the benefit of meeting with you, guess what? The answer is always no.
Nazira was able to call in. Nazira, I have your telephone line open.
Hi, Craig.
Nazira, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Did you hear anything that I just said?
No, because I was trying to call in and I had to get off the speaker that I was just listening on. So.
Okay, so you explain to me the situation, and then we're going to role play this.
So I'd called this gentleman yesterday and booked an appointment for today. So I was confirming this morning that we're meeting today at 6, and then I got this as a text message from him saying, you know, you're too far. I don't need to meet you. I just want to see houses.
Okay, so you're going to call the prospect back, okay? And I want you to be him, okay? I'm going to be you, okay? So what's the guy's name?
Mohammed.
Okay. Hey, Mohammed, it's Nazira here. Look, I just received your email. Hey, look, I could just send you a bunch of homes. The problem is I'm not really sure exactly what you're looking for. And rather than me just emailing you a whole bunch of homes that aren't even going to match what you're looking for, or even worse, Mohammed, me missing out on the perfect property for you, if we could get together for about 15 minutes, I could have that same great understanding that you have. I would know exactly what you're looking for. In fact, the benefit of meeting at my office is I have 97 different buyer fields, and we can really drill down and find out exactly what you're looking for. That way, I'll only be sending you homes that are a perfect match and will never miss out on the perfect home. So would you reconsider? When do you think would be a good time for us to get together? days or evenings?
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Because
Well,
the distance is what the problem is. Like
try to fight me. So the distance. Okay.
Well, too far. Yeah, too far.
Okay. So Mohammed, you want to buy in our area, so eventually you're going to have to come to our area anyway, right?
Yes.
When you leave my office, I can even give you a list of homes in the area that you can go look at right away. Okay, now there's a benefit to driving here, right? Okay, now, if worse comes to worse, you could agree to meet Mohammed at the halfway point, right? At a donut shop, another real estate office that's halfway between where he is and where you are. I don't like that, though. I like getting them to, especially if it's a first-time buyer, if they've got nothing to sell. It's an extra hoop I jump them through. I want them to come to me.
Okay.
Now, the more Mohammeds you have in your database, the less likely you are going to care about this one guy. Right? If you've got let's say today you could call and you could book 4 or 5 buyer appointments, buyers that would meet with you and not fight you at your office. How worried are you about Mohammed, the guy that doesn't think it's worth driving a half an hour to come and see you?
Yeah, not much, yeah.
Right. Now, there may be nothing you can do to motivate him to be the kind of client you want. If Craig Proctor himself was calling Mohammed, I may not be able to motivate this guy enough to come into the office because I can't create motivation. Either Mohammed's motivated or he's not. There's only so much we can do, but we got to make sure we're doing all we can.
Okay.
So I think if you say what I just said, I mean, we're providing Mohammed with differentiation. I mean, he now understands that what he's going to be getting from us is different and better. He understands the value in meeting with us. I think we've made a pretty compelling case. But if we don't make that compelling case, here's what Mohammed's thinking. Well, you know, the other agents I've talked to, they'll just email me the properties. Or last night, you see, he booked the appointment with you, and then he had a bit of time to think about it, right? So he was maybe he was online. Maybe he called another agent who said, oh, you don't need Nazir. I'll just email you the listings. We don't know what's happened between the time when you originally talked to him and today when he's basically cooled out and he's saying, hey, we don't need to do this.
Right.
Always try to make the appointment as close to now as possible. How much time elapsed between when you talked to Mohammed and you made the appointment versus him calling and trying to cancel it?
I called him yesterday. He registered yesterday, called him within 5 minutes of the registration.
Okay, well, and the appointment was supposed to be when?
Today at 6.
Okay, then there's nothing you can do about that. I would call him back, and I would try to use this language and see if you can reinvigorate him.
Okay.
And if not, well, then here's what we have to say. Mohammed wouldn't do business the way you want to do business. You're in charge of your business. Okay, you're going to create these rules of engagement, and your rules are the buyers come to me and the buyers sign an exclusive buyer agency agreement, or I don't run around showing them houses. And the more buyers you can get to do that, the less patience you're going to have for somebody like this.
Right. That's good. Thank you, Craig. I just want to know how to address him now that we've had our first conversation. So that's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, let me know. Shoot me an email. Let me know what happens when you call him back and you use this language that we discussed today.
I will. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Back to Andrea.
Okay. Where would our members go, or who would they contact to find other members in their area who they can do role-playing with?
Well, look, we don't give out the information on our members because of privacy issues here. But if you're interested in having a role-play buddy, it doesn't even need to be somebody in your area. Why does it need to be somebody in your area? I mean, it's role-play, right? So you're going to do it over the telephone. So what you're really asking is, I would like to have a role-play buddy somewhere. And all you need to do is shoot Andrea an email. Maybe the subject line could be role play buddy. And we'll try to match you up. So if that interests you, sure, we can try to match you guys up with some people to role play, but it certainly doesn't have to be somebody in your area. Next question, please.
Well, and another thing I want to talk about briefly before we move on is tomorrow's marketing clinic.
Yes, that's a good thing to talk about.
So do you want me to talk about that?
Yes, I do want you to talk about it, and tell us what happens tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow, like every Friday morning at 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern, we're going to critique ads that our members have submitted. And you can do that by going to resources on the coaching site, clicking on Ad Clinic, and let me unpause my screen.
Yep, because we can't see what you're doing. Okay, there we are.
So resources on the coaching site, then click on Ad Clinic. You'll see that you're there. All you have to do is go select My Files, and then upload your file. And down here, you'll know that you've loaded it. All the ads I've loaded are right here. You can also email me. We can accept PDF files, so if you can't figure out how to transfer that to a JPEG or a PNG, you can email Andrea@craigproctor.com, and I will load it for you. But also, please, any results you may have, include those. That really helps when critiquing ads.
Now, for those of you that have ads that are really, really successful, Andrea and I have never said, don't send those to us as well. Okay, because what some of you believe is, well, if my ads are really working, I don't need to come on the ad clinic anymore because I have ads that are really working. It would be very helpful for our other members to see the successful ads that you're running, plus maybe, just maybe, I could help your great ads like work even better. Maybe we could plus them, make a few changes to make a great ad even more great. Okay, and for those of you that are struggling and you're not, generating leads, you kind of lose your right to complain if you're not sending us what you're doing. I promise you this, whatever you're doing right now will continue to get you the same results, whether those results are good results or poor results. For those of you that are running ads that are getting a great response, that's the huge benefit of the Craig Proctor program, is you will continue to get great results by doing that over and over and over again. Okay, it brings predictability. I call it income predictability, which is nice, isn't it? It's kind of nice to know when you've got a great ad that you can keep running it in the same place over and over again and expect the same great response. You would know how many leads you're going to generate every week and how many listing or buyer appointments you're going to generate, and really how much income you're going to make by running that one ad, doing that one thing. But the opposite's also true. If you're doing something that doesn't work, so we talked to Adele a few minutes ago about bold leads. Well, that's like not working for me. Well, if we don't change something up, it's going to continue not working. And we don't want you guys to fall into a trap of doing things continually that aren't working. So if it's something like bold leads, well, what we have to ask ourselves is it really the leads or is it us? Here's what we hear from new members. New members, and you can back me up on this, Andrea, they often complain that the leads are no good. Now, the funny thing is when they get really good with the script, all of a sudden the leads that weren't that good, all of a sudden the leads became great leads. Our good friend Alex, who you just heard from, okay, he's in my hometown. He's in Newmarket. Alex will vouch for this. When Alex started following up the leads, Alex would say to me, well, I'm generating leads, but the leads are no good. As Alex became better at the script and better at the follow-up, guess what? Leads that formerly appeared to be not that good, all of a sudden the leads were good. So we've got to we've got to determine, is it the leads or is it us? Now, I'm not saying that some of the leads are not poor leads. They are poor leads. Some of the leads are bad leads. Some of the things that you do with my program will not work near as well as other things. So it's up to you to test the different ads in the different media to determine what's going to work the best for you. Okay, but nobody here is saying, hey, you should just continue doing things that aren't working over and over and over again. You'll never hear us say that. So that's what the ad clinic's about, is to help you troubleshoot this. And it is helpful to get your ad critiqued, and it's also helpful to hear us critique other members' ads. I mean, I would be attending the ad clinics, the marketing clinics, because I'd want to see, well, what are the top agents doing? Let's look at the ads that are really working well, and I'm going to copy that. I'm going to do exactly what they're doing, whether it be on Facebook or Google pay-per-click or Craigslist or Kijiji, whether it be a banner ad on a high-traffic website, whether it be print advertising like a local newspaper or a magazine, or direct mail using Every Door Direct, whether it be signage or billboards or radio or television. You see, the fact is we have so many different ways to deliver the marketing message. So we'll leave it at that. I want to thank everybody for being with us here today, and I really look forward to critiquing your ads tomorrow on our ad clinic. That's at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. on the East Coast. Everyone have a great day, and we'll talk to you all tomorrow morning. That concludes today's role play.